We are the Necrotizing Fasciitis Foundation, also referred to as the NFF, and we are here to spread awareness to necrotizing fasciitis, also known as NF. NF is an infection caused by bacteria. It can destroy skin, fat, and the tissue covering the muscles within a very short time. The disease, sometimes called flesh-eating bacteria. To learn more about NF, please visit our website at www.necfasc.org. That's www.necfasc.org. Hello and welcome everyone to The Steep. I'm your host, Tim Hayden. On today's episode, we have Don Spivey. Don is a necrotizing fasciitis survivor from Washington State. He enjoys fishing, boating, and spending time with his family. I will add Don to the conversation now.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
Don. How are you? How are
Hey,
you
Tim.
doing, Don?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
How's your family doing?
Fantastic. Today is my daughter's birthday. She turns 12. So after this, we're going to go and she wants to have a little bowling party. So she has a bunch of her little girlfriends, and we're going to go take her down to the bowling alley and let them just bowl all day, eat junk food, and celebrate her 12 years old. So, plus, it's out of the house. Yes.
That sounds like a good time.
This is my son, Thomas. Thomas is he's 32 years old. He's a fisherman also. Matter of fact, he's going out today. They start today out on the ocean shrimping. So yeah, he loves to fish just like his dad.
I love some shrimp.
And here's my lovely wife. We've been married 25 years. Yeah.
And what do you do for a living, Don?
That is Department of Corrections. I'm a corrections officer for Stafford Creek Correction Center in Washington State. So, yeah, we keep all the bad guys inside the prison. Here's the deck. This is actually the deck that I'm actually sitting on right now. This is actually what I built 4 years ago.
And there's a pretty little boat.
And there's my other little girl. She's a little more expensive than the other one, than the other two, but yeah, that's my favorite here. That's the real nut. She's 18 foot. She has a 90 horse Honda on it, a Minn Kota up front, and she just got the tower that goes over the top of it. This is a picture of me and my family. As you see, Ellie and Becky, they both walk with assistant walkers. Ellie's got a walker at that time, and Becky's walking with her crutches. But they have HSP, which is hereditary spastic paraplegia. So we're actually in the process of right now. Here in June, Ellie's going in for a back fin pump that she's going to have put on her in her belly. So yeah, more to come with that.
Well, then I guess we'll get right to it, Don. Tell us a little bit about your experience with NF, where you were affected, when, how old, that type of thing.
So back in December of 2014, I got a cut on my shin, on my right shin, from work. And, I didn't report it as a work-related injury. It's like a paper cut. Who would have thought that that something so minute would cause such a life-threatening possibility or injury. So I got a cut at work. It got infected. I had it for about 2 weeks, and on December 23rd, 2014, I had a really bad pain in my groin area, and I was like, I've never felt anything like that. I thought I had a pulled groin. So I got an ACE wrap, and I stuck the ACE wrap around my thigh, and I went back to work on the 24th. And on the 24th, I work a 12-hour shift. I was driving forklift, and I just felt really bad. It was just a really bad day. Had a terrible headache. I had stuff coming out of every orifice on me. And my leg just really, really hurt. I knew I was running a very high temperature, and I had a 12-hour shift. So I finished my 12-hour shift driving the forklift, and I called my wife, and I said, "Hey, I need to go to the hospital. Something's going on, and I don't know what it is. I've never felt so bad in my life." So we went to Summit Pacific in Elma, Washington, and the doctor in there went in, and I told him that I had bad groin pains, and I didn't know what was going on. I was running a very high temperature, and so they did a CAT scan on my leg, and after sitting there for hours in the ER, the doctor came back and told me that I had a pulled groin, and I was septic, and he gave me some antibiotics and some Vicodin and told me to take 2 days off of work. I had no idea what the heck septic was. I've never been septic. I've never dealt with sepsis. And so we went home. And that actually was the last day I remember. That's the last thing I remember was being at the hospital. The 25th, since I was off from work, thank goodness, I went to my in-laws' house for Christmas, and I wore sweats, just gray sweats and a gray sweatshirt. And they took pictures of me, and I was completely lethargic and sleeping the whole day. They took pictures of me, and in the pictures you see that my right leg was the pants, or the sweatpants. I mean, it looked like I pissed on myself. That's how wet it was. So they took me to I spent Christmas there, and I went home that night, and got up the next day. My wife calls my mother-in-law and said he's hardly breathing. We need to get him to the hospital. And so my mother-in-law, who actually saved my life, she came over, picked me up, drove me to St. Pete's in Olympia. Now, mind you, my daughter is right next to me and on my left-hand side, and my wife and my mother-in-law are in the front seat, and they're driving me to the hospital, and they call the hospital ER, and they tell them what's going on, and they actually met me at the ER and took me inside. This is what I've been told, not that I remember any of it. But they took me inside. My wife was filling out the paperwork to have me being seen. They took me right into the ER. And I guess about 10 minutes after I got there, the doctor came out and said that your husband has a 4% chance of living. We're going to intubate him, and that he has necrotizing fasciitis. And he might have a chance of losing his right leg. So they knew that what was going on with me, given that I had my BP was 64 over 33. I had total organ failure. They had me intubated. They were going to put me on a life flight and take me up to Harborview. But because of my size and all the equipment and all the nurses or doctors that it was going to take to keep me alive, they put me in an ambulance and sent me up I-5 to Harborview. I spent 6 weeks in the ICU in Harborview, and then I spent another 6 weeks in their burn center. They pulled the life support off me on November 6th. That's my rebirth date. I had no idea where I was at. I had no idea what was going on with me. It was all just so strange. I remember when I woke up. I remember the very first thing I did was that I actually pronounced myself as a Christian, because I was an atheist before that. And then the next thing I remember is watching the news, and the young guy from the African American guy from Sports Center had died, and he had died had cancer, bouts of cancer 3 times, and he died from the last bout. And I just remember that. But I mean, it's changed my life completely. I've got a different aspect of life, and that God doesn't promise us tomorrow, so we got to live the best we can each and every day. So that picture right there. So when I got to meet my doctor, she was, and I actually called her Dr. Doogie, because she was like 27 years old. Every day I'd have like 20 people. Harborview is with the University of Washington, and I was a case study there, and my main doctor, I forget what her name was, but she was blonde haired, blue eyed, and 27 years old, and I called her Doogie, and she would be talking about, or teaching the class about my situation with neck fascia, and I had asked her when does she think I would be able to go back to work, and she says, well, probably not this year. And I'm like, what? And she says, no, given the circumstance, you probably won't be able to make it back this year. And I said, listen, I'm going to be back to work by May 1st. That picture that Tim just showed you of me holding up my leg, that was that was May 5th. Yeah, that one right there. And that's when I got my release to go back to work. That's the reason I was so excited.
So, Don, were you put into a coma or anything?
Yeah. I was intubated. Yeah, for 11 days.
Did you have what they call night terrors or ICU psychosis?
Explain what it is, what you're talking about.
While you were in the coma, did you have dreams about what was going on around you, or?
Tim, the only thing that I recall is I recall I remember a native chief or medicine doctor. I don't know what it was, chief or medicine doctor, carrying me up some steps, some very, very long steps. And we got up to a certain location, and he didn't have something that he needed. And brought me back down. And I guess when I tell you about the change from being a atheist to a Christian is that while I was intubated, the only thing that I remember is that if you recall in the movie Ghost, the ghouls, the demons that were pulling you down, I had 2 of them pulling me down, and it wasn't into a fire or nothing like that. It was just like really, really hot, and they were pulling me down. And I remember screaming for my life, and a angel appeared in front of me, and I felt just completely safe. And then the next thing I know, they pulled the life support off me. My eyes opened up, and they said, "Welcome back." And
Wow,
yeah.
it was like an amazing experience.
It's changed my life.
Amazing. Do you remember if they had you restrained while you were in the coma?
I don't know. My wife's right here. She could actually. Was I restrained when I was a no. She said I wasn't. I guess I was a decent patient.
Well, a lot of times they did, because in your comatose state, you can grab the wires, the tubes, and pull them out. What about skin grafts? I noticed you did have some skin grafts, it looked like.
So on the left leg, that's where they took all the skin grafts off. Yeah, right here on the left side, they took all that. And what you don't see, Tim, is that, so you see the bottom section, there's actually where I had the pulled groin. That's all was affected too. Just above my pants there, that's all gone too. So I just have that section of fascia right there at my kneecap, and then it goes back into necrotizing fasciitis there. So, but they took all the skin grafts off my left leg, and I still deal with redness on my left side, and I was told by the doctor that it'll always be that way because of the skin damage, the nerve damage, and when you stand up, everything goes downward, and to include the blood, and that's what increases the redness and so on and so forth.
So how did your donor site heal? I saw how your wound healed from that picture. How did your donor site
It, like
heal?
I said, it's still red. I mean, I still, with, if I bump anything, it just as well as the neck fascia area, if it'll actually scab up pretty bad. It takes a while to heal up. That's kind of been the ongoing challenge of my neck fascia, is just getting things to heal faster.
Right. Do you still have any issues with skin grafts, like blistering, or I know some people have it?
No, the only residual issue I have is the numbness in my right leg, the coldness, the nerve spikes, and yeah, basically that's it. I don't have any type of tightness or any type of weeping or anything like that. Of course, this happened, 7 years ago. So, hopefully there isn't any future stuff. So.
Did you have to use the notorious wound care vac?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was right up here in my groin area. They put a wound back up right there.
Did you have any issues using that or out of the machine itself? A lot
No,
of people
no,
did that.
no. I didn't. I had no issues. Actually, I was surprised at how fast it actually healed your body. No, the biggest challenge I had was out of everything. I guess the biggest challenge I had was getting past the how did this happen? Why did it happen to me? The PTSD from it, the pain, the nerve pain, being able to work the job that I was working at. It's a 12-hour job. My doctor, my primary care, he actually kept me on 12-hour slow release morphine and Vicodin. And my job didn't particularly care for it so much. So we're not working there anymore. So, but then, and I was taking PTSD and gabapentin and so many other different meds that, about 2 years later, I think part of my PTSD came to the point where I was having to do a pill regimen every day and figuring out where I was going to be, how to take my pills, what I was going to be doing, whether I was going to be up driving, what I was, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. And so I took all my pills and flushed them down the commode. And it's like 2 weeks later, a week later, I had an actual appointment with my primary care. And he says, how come you don't have all your pills down here? And I said, because I stopped him. And he says, you shouldn't have done that. He says, should have came to me and we would have got you off of it slowly, but you're already past with the all those meds that I was on. I did go some.
Did you have withdrawal from any of them, like the narcotics?
Especially the narcotics, the withdrawals mostly from the morphine and the Vicodin. I don't know that I had any withdrawals from anything else, but yeah, I went through that, but I've been through it before, when I came off all the fentanyl and the oxycodones and they put me on morphine and yeah, it was kind of sucks going through it, but I can honestly say that it was, thank God that I never felt that I was ever addicted to them, and I was able to just kick it and say it's not for me. I don't need that, So
You may have mentioned. Do you take anything now for your nerve pain? You're talking about.
I do. Yeah, I take gabapentin. I have 600 milligram gabapentin that I take depending on how busy I am that day. At the end of the night, just for the nerve pain and the restless leg in bed, it helps with that. Other than that, I don't take it.
While you were at the hospital, did the doctors you may not know this, but did the doctors recognize it right away, or did they possibly misdiagnose it?
Well, I definitely got misdiagnosed at Summit Pacific. I mean, there's a serious issue there, was especially not knowing what septic was, um, and finding out when I got to Harborview and I was able to talk to the nurses and told them what happened and how I got here. They said, "Why didn't they keep you there at Summit Pacific? Why? How did they let you go being septic? You know." Um, and the ignorance there on their part of not recognizing what actually was going on, and that my body was actually being eaten from underneath, and they didn't actually see it. That's and also the fact that they let me go home being septic. You know, they should have kept me in the hospital, um, and done whatever it is that they needed to do. A lot of people have said, Don, you should really look into suing the hospital. And I thought about it, and then I was like, I lived through that. And yeah, they need to be educated, but suing them isn't educating them. It actually takes away from the community. That's what happens. So I've done, with some help from Dee and our good friend from UK. I've handed out a lot of the pins that she supplied, and talked to a lot of people over there, and still do. I try to talk about neck fash any time and any place that I can, to just educate people on how serious it is and how easy it is to get.
During your aftercare, did you have to go through physical therapy or occupational therapy?
So when I got out of Harborview, they sent me directly to an in-home care, and I was there at Montesano Health and Rehab for 2 weeks. They told me that I had to be able to walk around the facility twice. That's their parking lot, around the whole facility twice, to be able to go home. And I was like, let's get on it. So, yeah, I was only there about 2 weeks. Their food was crappy. I mean, the first day I was there, they sent me, and I woke up with 6 eggs. And I'm like, 6? They were 6 over medium eggs. No toast, no bacon, no nothing. It was just 6 eggs. And I'm like, who eats 6 eggs? I'm like, would you feed this to anybody in your family? Would you just feed them 6 eggs? Here's your food to eat. Like,
At least give the man a piece of toast.
I know I'm like, where's the bacon?
What helped you the most while you were recovering?
Helped me the most recovering. I would say that the what helped me most was my family, the support that I have with my family, all of my brothers, my mom, my daughter, my wife, and also just the drive of wanting to get back to fishing, getting back to work, and just carrying on back to a normal life as best I could. And that was, I mean, there was always challenges. I mean, neck fash doesn't just stop once you leave the hospital. It goes on, and you live with it today. It's 7 years later, and I'm still living with it. But it's more of a battle scar and a teaching lessons for me now than it was when I first got out. And it's kind of crazy or ironic that I work in Department of Corrections now, and I see people get hurt a lot or have sepsis or scars or cuts and stuff like that, and I warn them and educate them there about how important it is to make sure you keep that shit clean. That stuff clean, and keep it bandaged, and be cautious of MRSA, especially in the hospital.
Do you happen to know what your offending bacteria was? Strep or A?
I don't. Nope. I don't. Of course, it's strep A, but I have no idea how it got there, what caused it. It was just a cut in my shin. And it was actually a work-related injury. But it's kind of hard to go back to 2 weeks ago and say, yeah, I got this cut at work. I need to now file a workman place injury report, and it cost me $4,000. It actually out the door. It was like almost just under $2 million. It was like $1,750,000 for my stay at Harborview, but I paid $4,000 with my insurance.
It's not bad out of that big of a price.
Yeah, right.
Do you feel that your NF experience affected you emotionally or psychologically?
I think psychologically and emotionally is the same thing. I couldn't figure out why it is that I was crying every day, and I went to see my primary, and he says, well, it's just like you being the dog that comes, the owner comes home every day, and the first thing that the owner does when you go up and welcome him home is that he kicks you. You're going through that same thing. Your body's gone through a serious traumatic injury, and that was part of the whole PTSD was the emotional of, why did this happen to me? Why am I going through this? How did I make it? Why did I make it? Given 4% chance of living and still having my leg, why did you save me? And at the same time, I can't believe I made it to be here with my daughter still, or my son, or my family, at giving my chances.
So do you still suffer from the PTSD? Because I know that's a big thing with our survivors.
No, absolutely not. No. I'm grateful every day, waking up and breathing. So it's just like I said. Now it's at the point where it's just an opportunity to educate and be with you guys and welcome people that are going through it now. That's, to me, it's so important to. I guess what's helped me through that actually, Tim, is a big part of it actually. It has to be with Necrotizing Fasciitis Worldwide and the group that you've formed to help me help others and be a part of something that we have no control over except for be the support and know what they're going through and or what they're going to go through, and or unfortunately those that have lost their loved ones, and supporting them through however we can. Fortunately, I'm not on that side of that. So,
Did you have to have any? Did you see any counseling or anything when you were suffering through your PTSD, or did you just kind of?
I did. Yeah, I went to the lake a lot more. Went fishing. That was it was a joke.
What what helped you pass the time while you were in the hospital? I get that all the time.
A lot of sleep. I honestly, well, the Seahawks were going to the Super Bowl, and did a lot of Seahawks watching Seahawks lose their butt on their going to the Super Bowl. But no, only thing I can recall about the hospital was just a lot of doctors, a lot of family, a lot of pain, the debridement, oh my goodness, the wound care change. Oh my God. Yeah, that's I would never wish that upon anybody, having to go through that again. That was probably the most pain. I can't say probably. It is absolutely the most pain that I've ever been in my lifetime, especially the debridement and the feeding.
Right. I got one more question for you. What would you tell others recently diagnosed with NF?
What would I tell them? I'm glad you made it through it. I'm happy you're here with us. I'm glad you found us. I'm glad you have this family here to support you through that. And please ask at any time anybody on the group here, especially the admin, and post your questions and or what you're going through, and get to that other side where you can also become a mentor for others coming into the group.
Well, Don, I appreciate you being here today.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. I truly do. Uh, I'm glad I found you guys, and I think this is a great thing that you're doing, Tim, and everybody else behind us. And I look forward to seeing more.
Well, I believe these will help go far, helping spread awareness as well as help others
Yeah,
who's
yeah, I
going through
agree.
this. Well, Don, I appreciate you being on the show today.
All right, thank you all. Have a good day.
You have a great day.
Get out and go fishing.
Sure will.
See you. Bye.
I'd like to thank Don Spivey for being our guest today, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks, and I hope to see you next time on the next episode of The Steep. Remember, be kind and smile.